Hello and welcome to Your Questions Answered with Father Gruner. I'm John Veneri. In this program, we take your questions that you send to us via email. Father Gruner answers them, and we have discussions about them. And continue to send them to us via email, please. questions@thefatimacenter.com. This is another one from Italy, and the question is, for what reason or reasons do you think that the popes have not consecrated Russia?
Well, you know, John, of course, that this question has been going on now for 30 years and even longer, but there are various excuses are offered. Now, there's an article in the Fatima Crusader, they can read it online, by Kathy Pearson, and it was in issue 96, in which she gives, it's like St. Thomas, she gives you the 6 possible reasons why the Pope doesn't obey Our Lady of Fatima. And she spent, the first one was, you know, this will spoil ecumenical relations. Now, she had already published in our Crusader, I think it's 91 or 92, just look up on Kathy Pearson for her 2 articles. Anyway, as she points out that it would not hurt ecumenical relations, but it would help them. As she points out that, you see that a fervent Catholic, or a fervent Orthodox for that matter, would love to be more converted to the Lord. All of us, I'm sure, myself, first of all, could be more holy. I hope I've got I'm living in the state of grace, but I could be holier, I could be better, I could do a better job, I could do things with more love for God, I could do things with more love for my neighbor, I could do things with, you know, that sacrifices that save more souls. So I'm sure that's not only true of me, it is true of me, but it's also true of pretty well everybody. Mm-hmm. So if we really are sincere in our, you know, wanting to please God, that someone would do something for my conversion to even a higher level of sanctity would be great. So to say that this would insult the Orthodox, I didn't say they're going to become Catholic. You and I, John, know they're going to become Catholic, but we don't have to say that. Mm-hmm. The fact is, she said they're going to convert. So Russia will convert. So whatever Russia is now, not because Russia is worse than anybody else, Russia will convert to a better level than from where they are up to this moment. And that's a great thing for them. I wish my country or your country or some other, but God has chosen, the Blessed Virgin has chosen, Russia to have this special grace. So it could not be for people who are sincere, either Catholics or sincere Orthodox, could not take insult with this thing. And it could not, and if they really wanted to have unity between them, or whatever level, they would be better off with having this conversion than without having it. So both sides would have it. So it really is a stupid excuse. Now, people have bought this for years, but she points out this cannot possibly be. And she goes through, that's the biggest excuse they give. Mm-hmm. The other one is, you know, that the Russian government will, you know, but just think for a moment. Stalin, who was certainly considered one of the great, terrible dictators of all time, you know, I mean, there's stories about him that people have forgotten about, but Pius XII consecrated Russia in 1952. I'm not aware of anything that Stalin did worse than he did before that act, mm-hmm. after that act. So if Stalin wouldn't do it, why would they expect anyone else would do it? So it's not the Russian government, it's not the Orthodox. So that leaves us 3 more reasons. I've not remembered all of them, but the last reason she gives is because he's afraid of some threat, some major threat. She doesn't know what the threat is, but some major threat. She's able to take care of these other 3 reasons with as ease, and you, by the time you finish reading, you say, well, she's right, can't be that reason either. Mm-hmm. And when you look at her 6 reasons, they're all mutually exclusive, so there's nothing else could be there. So the only reason really is that the Pope is afraid. He's afraid of something. It's another way of saying the Pope doesn't have enough trust in God and the Blessed Virgin, but he's afraid of something. Now, this is not to mock or to decrease the Pope. For example, I know that Joseph Torellia, who was a prisoner in Soviet prisons up until 1987, he told me, and he told others, that when he was in prison, he was a Catholic, Eastern Rite Catholic, but a Ukrainian, I believe. And he would not, his grandmother was Catholic, but his parents were both very high up in the Communist Party. In 1962 or 63, he was put in jail for being a Catholic. he was offered to get out even if he just changed religion from being Catholic to being Orthodox. Now, this is not to speak against the Orthodox, but he would not do that. And so they wouldn't let him out of prison. By 1986, they had passed a sentence against him, not in the court system, but in the prison system, to kill him. It was by some accident or something like that. So he was actually left to die in 40 below weather in Siberia with no clothes on inside some hut so that, they expect him to freeze to death. But miraculously, he was kept warm the whole time. He didn't feel the cold. And so he was perfectly healthy the next day. So if they're going to kill him, they had to do something else. So this colonel of the KGB that was knew he was under sentence of death. So he didn't mind telling him, the truth. He said, it was just after Chernobyl. Chernobyl was an explosion, and you might remember, it's on 26th of April, 1986. And Chernobyl, killed a lot of people, and a lot of damage was done to the environment, to people, all the rest of it. Well, this KGB colonel said, that was not an accident, Chernobyl. What do you mean it was an accident? Well, if you notice a map, he says, you'll see all these nuclear reactors. They're all built up like we could have put them up in Siberia, and we could have just wired the power down. No, we left them there purposely so that if the population ever rebelled, we couldn't support them, hold them back. We could always flick a switch on a Chernobyl to put them back in place. So this is what a KGB colonel tells a prisoner he knows is going to die, but he was freed by the intervention of Reagan and the French president at the time, and he was let out so he could tell the story. Now, he told a lot of other things, but my point being is that that's the kind of threat, I believe. It's not about something personal about the Pope, but I could see that John Paul II would be told, listen, if you do that consecration in Russia, we're going to flick the switch on Chernobyl near your beloved Poland and, kill tens of thousands or millions of people. And so that's the kind of thing that I think is that kind of threat. It's not a small thing. It's not, it's a really big thing. But all the same, Our Lady can take care of that as well.
Well, yes, I think part of it comes down to is does it might seem presumptuous to question the Pope's faith, but you can't help but ask, do they actually believe in the promise of the consecration? Do they believe that this is going to bring about the conversion of Russia and a period of peace to the world? And if this is the case, then, as we said in our video years ago, why not just try it? Why not just do it?
Yeah.
So there seems to be something, too, that is preventing them from actually fully believing either that Our Lady would do it or that Our Lady really asked for it first, because that's what they tried to do in the year 2000. They tried to claim that the third secret and the request for the consecration was kind of something that was maybe dreamt up by Sister Lucy from reading pious books and things like that.
Well, I mean, in in the case of Cardinal Bertone, in the year 2000, he said that the age for lust for power and evil is now over because of the Pope's decision to release the third secret. Well, if he could get rid of lust for power and evil in human history by just deciding to do that, why didn't he decide to do it 40 years beforehand? But of course, the age for lust for power and evil is not over by the release of the third secret. And they didn't even release the whole thing. It would have been much better to release the whole thing, and then some people would do penance because of it.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, the Kathy Pearson article and the things that Father Gruner talks about gives us some indication of why the popes may not have obeyed, or they have not obeyed, the reasons why. And there'll be more to talk about that in future episodes, but that's all we have time for now. So we will see you on the next broadcast. Thanks for joining us.